Hello, welcome back to Global Affairs TV, your hub for international insight. As usual, I'm Dr. Tuisenge Theoneste. Now I'm going to break down global power shift in 2025, where Donald Trump's Middle East moves and Sitama's European New Deal. The 2025 has arrived, not quite, but with the humble of global realignment. In this vein, two clear seismic shifts are underway. These two seismic shifts are expressed in Donald Trump's comeback and in John Stammer, the paramount political decision. For the first one, Donald Trump is back, not just in Washington, in the United States of America political arena, but he came back boldly on the sands of the Middle East in Asia. On the other hand, across the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, Britain and the European Union have signed what some analysts and scientists are calling the Second Brexit. In this regard, these are not just headlines in international news, in international paper, but these are the making of a new global order. In this context, this is considered as a prelude to power, to diplomatic affairs, as well as to realpolitics. Simply, it is a real global power shift in 2025. After this short introduction, let us, in the first segment, understand the return of Donald Trump on the global stage. However, do you remember that when Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, many scientists, analysts, and researchers, including me, we thought his influence on global affairs was over. Surprisingly, in 2024, he was elected and returned to the White House. But in this year, 2025, Donald Trump not just back, but he is rewriting the geopolitical playback. For instance, in his multi-country tour in the Middle East in this May 2025, it is not symbolic, it is not nostalgic, but it is a strategic diplomatic tour. After analyzing his Middle East tour from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia to Tel Aviv in Israel, from Doha in Qatar to Abu Dhabi in United Arab Emirates, yes, even Damascus in Syria, Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, is brokering deals. Not only that, but is aligning interests as well as disrupting traditional power centers in the Middle East. Scientifically, Donald Trump's strategic diplomatic tour of the Middle East, this event is increasing the role or the importance of transactional diplomacy and the shifting building of the global governance. In the sight of scholars, for instance, drawing my analysis on the works of Susan Strange, who focused on the importance of power relations in international political economy, I see the asymmetrical independence between states as a key driver behind the United Trump Middle East move. Personally, on my personal reflection, Trump's Middle East tour is not considered just as a nostalgic comeback, but it is just a strategic, a calculated move in international politics and international political economy we call as asymmetric interdependence. Surely, this Middle East move of Donald Trump in the last week is an asymmetric interdependence in our international political economy today. In this theory of asymmetric interdependence, smaller states like Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Israel, Syria, even Saudi Arabia aligns strategically with great powers such as the United States of America to offset vulnerabilities. However, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Qatar, as well as Syria, each in their own way or approach, are revealing Trump's willingness to play the outside the conventional rules of multilateralism in order to secure bilateral gains or profits. After understanding my reflection on the Donald Trump tour in the Middle East, let us have or share key questions to maintain in our mind that will be explained and analyzed in deep in the coming video in the coming days. I'm wondering myself, and you, my audience, you can wonder about that. What is behind Donald Trump's outreach to Syria? As you remember, or as you have heard, once Syria was labeled as a part of what Americans call axis of the evil. Now, Donald Trump is outreaching there. What is the reason behind? What is the motives? What is incentives about this Trump's outreach to Syria? The second one, why? Or what is the reason behind Saudi Arabia warming up again to Trump's style diplomacy? In a few years, Saudi Arabia has abandoned American style diplomacy, especially that of Donald Trump. But today, we are wondering, why is Saudi Arabia warming up again to Trump's style of diplomacy? Don't miss the next video. The third question is, how do the United Arab Emirates and Qatar balance between United States power, Chinese influence, and regional interdependence? How? From which reason? From which way do these small states in the Middle East are balancing United States power, Chinese influence, and regional interdependence? And the last question I can wonder about this Trump's tour in the Middle East is that, is really Israel betting on a Trump for regional security assurance against Iran or not? Don't miss the next video. We will understand in deep this. Before ending this point, this first segment, I can tell you that this is not just about oil. This is not about arms, but it is about influence. about reshaping regional power under a renewed American First banner, but with global consequences, with global effect, as we remember to the theory of Susan, advanced by Susan. This is an asymmetric interdependence calculated by Donald Trump before doing this tour in the Middle East. Then, let us go and analyze the second segment concerning the United Kingdom and European Union reset deal. This is, I'm wondering if United Kingdom EU reset deal is a Brexit dead or evolving. As you know, meanwhile, in Europe, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, and the President of the European Union Commission, Madame Ursula von der Leyen, have concluded a pact, an agreement of cooperation and a partnership. The Prime Minister Keir Starmer has done what many, including me, thought politically impossible. Even me, I was thinking that it was impossible to conclude a partnership agreement between the United Kingdom and the European Union. These concluding remarks redefined Britain's relationship with the European Union. It is in this 2025 where UK-EU reset deal is not considered as a re-entry into the bloc, but it is a signal of not isolation, but it is a signal of a partnership. It is a partnership that is coming back. Let us link this event with the thought and the theories advanced by Joseph Nye, an American political thought, who advances the concept of soft power and hard power, and who further clarifies the contrasting strategies employs with the opting of a softer economic-based approach of Starmer of United Kingdom, as the leaning heavy on hard power of Donald Trump tactics. In addition, an international political thinker called Robert Calhoun's insight, he focused on cooperation and institutionalism, which shed light on the UK-EU reset deal. The UK-EU reset deal was stimulated by the thought and ideas of Robert Calhoun on cooperation and institutionalism, which became as a response to economic interdependence and political realities in a fragmented and divided world order. However, together with this reflection, it is clearly showing a multipolar world where power fluctuating, where alliances are situation, and where leadership must adapt rapidly to maintain influence or power. However, these involving challenges or landscape traditional notions of sovereignty calls for deeper analysis of how states navigate the complexities of power economics and diplomacy in an area of uncertainty. My personal reflection is showing that meanwhile, crossing the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, and the President of European Union Commission, Madame Ursula von Reset deal indicate a pivotal away from popularist economic nationalism to pragmatic regional integration. It is clear that this echo what realist theorists in international relations such as Joseph Nye calls as a balancing act. This is a balancing act between the United Kingdom and the European Union as a bloc. And an effort to preserve, to ensure sovereignty while benefiting or profiting from economic interdependence. This is a strategic calculation done by Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom. In this context, the United Kingdom is not rejoining the European Union, but I can tell you that it is acknowledging a reality of the new world order, where today's complexities and global issues, strategic isolation can be economically self-defeating. Just if a country is strategically isolating, is strategically protecting from cooperating, partnering with others, this will lead to self-economic defeat. That is my own reflection and thought. But before seeing the link or the relationship between Trump's Middle East moves and the Keir Starmer New Deal, I'm wondering, what does the deal mean for trade, global trade? What will it mean for travel? What will it mean for migration? What will it mean for defense? Or what will it mean for youth mobility and employment in Europe as well as in the United Kingdom? We shall discuss, break down, and analyze this in deep in the coming video. The second question is concerning with, is this really a quite admission of the United Kingdom that had the Brexit failed or not? We shall see. How will this impact the Scotland's renewed push for independence? This concluding deal, this new deal between the United Kingdom and the European Union will affect, will change political and strategically the Scotland's renewed push for independence or not? Finally, could this new model of partnership redefined between Keir Starmer and Von Ursula of the European Union relationship with other non-state members? Here we can enumerate the Norway, the Switzerland, or even the Turkey. After asking or wondering about those questions, my position, I can stand about it. I can say this is not just diplomacy, but it is an economic realism. Where, for instance, with the inflation biting, supply chain lightening, as well as Russia's shadow roaming, in this regard, Europe is rethinking its position. And the United Kingdom, once out, is edging back in the European bloc. Let us break down these interesting topics on the third segment that I can call or name. These two events are connected or not. Here I mean the Trump's Middle East tour and the post-Tama New Deal with the European Union. At the first glance, these two stories mentioned above, meaning Trump's Middle East comeback and the UK EU reset, are seemed separate, but in international relations, in international political economy, in the real geopolitics, this is never that simple as you are thinking. Both signal show a return to pragmatic transactional diplomacy, where both respond or provide responses to a fragmented world by war, by pandemics like recent COVID and Marburg, as well as economic crisis. And both stories could show a broader recalibration of the Western leadership. In a theoretical perspective, in the field of international relations and international political economy, as well as global trade, from a geopolitical lens, both moves show the lies, both stories shows the lies of transactional diplomacy. In international relations, transactional diplomacy means that interests, not value, are driving foreign policy choice of countries, of most of states. Trump's Middle East maneuvering exemplifies hard power projection through, for instance, arms deal, energy diplomacy, and personal leadership branding. As you know, Donald Trump, he can brand himself. On the other hand, Stammers deals signs soft power, decalibration via cooperation and regulatory alignment. My another reflection is relies on the global order. In this regard, I can assure you that the global order is no longer bipolar or unipolar. Just it is a multipolar and unstable. Is a multipolar because there is an emerging and re-emerging of tradition competitive powers like China, like Russia, as well as regional actors such as the United Kingdom, the Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, and Turkey, which are navigating a vacuum left by the disintegration of post-World War II liberalism and the weakening of global institutions. Here we can mention the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the World Trade Organization, as well as many of UN organs. However, me, Dr. Tuyisenge Theoneste, as a researcher, strategist, and citizen of this world, I believe that we can enter into a critical phase where global power, global politics, global strategy is fluiding. Alliances are no longer static, now are situational. Leadership, here I mean the global leadership, the global diplomacy is now transactional. Now we have already entered in a transactional diplomacy. What matters now is not who has the power, which country has the power, but who can shape the narrative, mobilize influence, and adapt to rapid shift, rapid change, transformation of the global affairs. Therefore, as I'm preparing to dive deeper into these stories in the coming days, I can invite you not only to watch and to read, but to reflect with me, with us as a global affairs team. Because what is unfolding in 2025 is not just history being made, but it is a test of how prepared we are to understand and respond to a world no longer bound by old order, bound by traditional order, bound by Western leadership in diplomatic ties. In this regard, I can confirm that the world order, here I mean the Western leadership, is no longer collapsing, but it is transforming, it is shifting, changing, and mutating. In this vein, 2025 year might just be the year it all flips. That is my own reflection and position. Before concluding, I'm wondering what to expect in the next full video in the coming days. In the coming days, our Global Affairs TV, the hub of international insight, we will break it all down in the full-range expose. What is really at the stake in Trump's Middle East tour or moves? What are the economic as well as the security implication of the United Kingdom and European Union reset deal in the post-Brexit era, and how will these moves reshape, transform, challenge, and prelude the next decades of global power. However, from diplomatic motivations to economic effect, military alignment, to ideological changes, I will go teeth or fact based and deeply analyzed. This video or this matter of the two stories, I mean Donald Trump's Middle East moves and Keir Starmer New Deal in the post-Brexit era, are not just an international news, but they are your world, they are your future, and your economy. It is in this context I ask you to stay with me by subscribing, by sharing, and preparing for the deep dive. Because in 2025, geopolitics is no longer predictable, but it will help you to make sense of it. Thank you very much.